All right, so I will get around to the video on DDD and the way that uh, the things, sort of new developments that I've seen as far as DDD reintegration and whatnot. Um, but here recently, I've been in a little bit of a funk, and at times like that, not like they used to be, but in times like that, I found that the best thing for me is to partake of the conveyance of that sense of abandonment and neglect and whatnot. And it's kind of like usually from other media, and it's kind of like a hug in a weird way. It's as though it's a sort of proof that you are not a monster and that they are not righteous. And it helps a lot. And I was listening to music at work, and I don't know what caused me to want to reach for this because I'd forgotten, to the extent that one can forget something, about the movie entirely. But I thought of Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame and decided to go ahead and pull up the music for it, and that first song between Frollo and Quasimodo. I listened to it again and I was like, oh my goodness, this is pure gold. It really is. And the big reason why is because it very succinctly, very beautifully, very accurately depicts the relationship between narcissism and BPD and complex PTSD and DDD, and it wraps it all up very, very nicely, and it actually even caused me to develop an awareness of or an insight into the relationship between borderline narcissism, borderline personality disorder, the DPD spectrum, and the DID spectrum. And so it links DID in there as well. And it's a really, really awesome revelation in a way. So I wanted to go ahead and share that with you. And in order to share that with you, I'm going to go ahead and bear with my singing because I think it really does come. There's a little bit of a duet in it at the start. And I think that the best way to convey this is probably going to be through singing rather than speaking it. I would also greatly advocate that you go and listen to the actual song from the actual actors. But I'm going to go ahead and start on part of it, and then I'm going to break a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a little more explaining, and then I'll break for the second part. And what I'll probably end up doing is splitting this video into two. So this first video will be a part one commentary on the first part, and then I'll start another video and do the second part just because I'm limited as far as duration. So let's get right into it. All right, so Quasimodo wants to go to this festival, and he lives up in the bell tower and has his whole life. And this man who has, in the movie, not so much in the book, but in the movie, he actually was responsible for the death of his mother, and on the steps of Notre Dame, and the priest condemned him, and his penance is to care for Quasimodo, whom he wanted to drown at the time. And so there's this already, before we get started, there's already this sort of background for the setting here, and Quasimodo wants to go down into the city for the Festival of Fools, where the ugliest person is celebrated as king for a day, and is would be perhaps the best opportunity he had to have a positive experience down there and whatnot. And he wants to go, and it comes out when Frollo appears, and Frollo essentially condemns him, and that's where this song begins. So let's get into it. And this is Frollo. The world is cruel, the world is wicked. It's I alone whom you can trust in this whole city. I am your only friend. I who keep you, teach you, feed you, dress you. I who look upon you without fear. How can I protect you, boy, unless you always stay in here, away in here? Remember what I taught you, Quasimodo. You are deformed, I am deformed, and you are ugly, and I am ugly. And these are crimes for which the world shows little pity. You do not comprehend, you are my one defender. Out there they'll revile you as a monster, I am a monster. Out there they will hate and scorn and jeer, only a monster. Why invite their calumny and consternation? Stay in here. Be faithful to me, I'm faithful. Be grateful to me, I'm grateful. Do as I say, obey, and stay in here. So, beyond being really screwed up, what does this mean? Well, Frollo in this movie is pretty much picture perfect narcissist. Like through and through. And in many ways, he symbolizes the narcissistic parent. And the way in which he expresses his love as beratement, or beratement as if it were love, perhaps more accurately, is extremely torturous. And it's gone on long enough, it's to the point that Quasimodo is just perpetually broken down even within his own psyche, as the lyrics go, I am a monster, only a monster. And this is his protector. This is the closest thing to someone who loves him, so to speak, loves him. And under that kind of stress, a personality generally emerges. Usually there's a catalyst involved, a significant event that kind of acts as that straw that breaks the camel's back and whatnot. But there's a personality that emerges from this, the borderline personality. And the thing about the borderline personality is its job is to be protector of the core personality, as I've said in previous videos. The problem is that in being the protector of that person and that person having perceived their protector as they have, as depicted here and in that that song, it creates a maladaptive personality. The personality learns from that and internalizes that abuse and becomes, in essence, the same type of abuser. But whereas the reasoning of the character perpetrating this abuse wants to keep that person torn down in order to keep themselves elevated, the borderline personality is not so much trying to beat down the core personality in order to keep himself elevated, which is much more common in DDD, but is trying to protect the core personality, which exists in DDD. It's just not as common. Trying to protect the core personality and recognizes the incredible danger present and tries to keep the core personality locked up the same way that their protector, that was the narcissist parent, wanted them locked up and kept locked away in this sort of torturous solitude and whatnot. And the constant exposure to this environment that the borderline personality takes the brunt of in place of the core personality contributes to that personality acquiring complex PTSD-like symptoms. And it gets ugly, it gets nasty, it picks up certain narcissistic tendencies. The motivation behind those tendencies or behind those interpretations are not the same as when they come from the narcissist. They come from a better place, but still a very maladaptive place. And from this, you essentially have these two very distinct personalities that remain in play from this point on, and it really blurs the line between, is this person borderline or is this person DID? If you even get that far. And you have to rehabilitate each as individuals. You can't just administer a very, very particular form of treatment and expect that treatment to work equally well for both of them at the same time. It doesn't quite work that way, but like I said, this sort of like ties all of this together, and then of course the DDD aspect of it comes as a extension of the fact that borderline personality, in order to keep that core personality locked up and safe, will stunt the growth of that core personality, and that's where DDD comes from. Is it comes from the stunted growth of a person's core personality, by any means. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video, and then I will go ahead and post the next part of this video here as soon as this video is done uploading and I can delete it off my phone, because that's part of the reason I make these videos. Is it's easier for me to make these videos than to write in or type, and it's more accurate than using voice typing and at the same time, I don't have a lot of space on my phone, which is pretty much my only recording device other than pen and paper. So, but that size limit on my phone, that's a very real thing. So that's going to be it for this video, and I'll conclude it in the next. Like I said, as soon as this one finishes uploading, I'll start uploading the second part. See you in that one.